Close. Okay, you can help me out. So, faith, chapter 5, Sillier. Like that. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, chapter 5, I'm going to cover chapter 5 of The Science of Being Well. And chapter 5 is entitled Faith. And we must have the faith that we are capable and able to achieve wellness and a state of well-being in whatever area that you are seeking well-being, because on all the different areas of being a person, and you can find the 6 areas of wellness. I just looked at what I study. A lot of comes from the National Wellness Institute, and I have some documents and some files, some resources, some things that you can actually look at and do that help you to see how balanced you are in your well-being in all different areas. And it's all the basic areas of our life, but it goes beyond what we see, because there is more than what we see. There is more to us and more to our health than just what we see. So it's important to include all of that. Some people are like, well, I'm not very spiritual, but there's still that innate consciousness that we all have, whether we're spiritual or not. We all have a consciousness and a level of our being that we cannot see. So I love looking and reading more about stuff like that. I think it's really cool that this book, along with The Science of Being Rich, goes into those other areas. It's more than just what you're going to get, like eat good, drink good, get good sleep. We all know that already. We know the basics. We know that there are systems to gain weight or lose weight. We know that there are, if you're really obese or really have major health issues, there's Western medicine we can turn to for relief and for help. But in the end, it all comes down to whether we believe that is going to help us, and whether we actually depend on our belief. Yes, to focus on health is so key, because this is what this book actually says, that fear relates us to that which we fear. So if we're fearful of disease, and if we're fearful of our health going off the deep end, or if we're fearful of some kind of disease, maybe it's run in our family, I mentioned that before, that brings about, it sets into motion that within us at a cellular level, you can even call it an energy level almost as well. So in areas that we don't even see, it sets that into motion, and it starts to bring that to us, maybe through symptoms, or maybe through other people saying stuff about it. I mean, your family is a big one. If families that have issues that run in the family, those kinds of things, it's really important to really separate yourself from what you've known, or from what you believe right now is your health, is your well-being, whatever that is, wherever you're at in your health and well-being, to take a good look and ask why you believe what you believe about yourself, even if it's a sickness or a disease. It's absolutely important to take yourself back to when that started. And, a lot of things aren't our fault, honestly. There are things that come in our DNA when we're born that absolutely, give us basically who we are. We have no choice over the matter when we're born. However, once we grow, and like right now, we're at the ability to where we feel whether something resonates with us. We can feel if we feel good. We know in the morning when we wake up whether we have energy or whether we feel ill. And when we realize that, and when we come to this realization that, something doesn't feel quite balanced, it's usually where it starts. It's an imbalance. Then we must take a look at our areas of wellness, because they all flow into each other. It's not just one area. And that's where, sometimes we get a little off track, because I do believe, I know I've done it myself, we start to focus on just like one or two areas. So all the 6 areas are occupational, physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, and emotional. So all the areas flow into each other. They use like a kind of a circular grid map of it. And I do believe it's because it flows, they all flow into each other. So it's important to attempt to stay balanced, not give too much to one area over the other. And the science of these books by Wallace Wattles focuses on that, the balance of mind, body, and soul. And that is where the true magic is at. It really is, because once you start to hit on those other areas that you might not have been hitting on, that's where you'll start to feel more connected, not only to yourself, but to your creator, to the source, to earth, to the universe. And you'll also start to know, you'll be able to discern what resonates with you and what doesn't when it comes to your wellness. So people around us are a big one. We got to be able to discern whether the people around us are growing us or bringing us down. The food we eat is a big one too. Everything we put in and on our bodies, whether it's bringing us a level of health that is greater, hi Tina, or whether it's bringing us down. You know, for example, here's a really easy example. If you're eating something, there's often a thought that's going to come to your mind, whatever it is that you're eating. And it's because of what we've been programmed to think so far. Now, sometimes they're true. Sometimes these thoughts are true. Like if I'm eating an ice cream, I cannot help the thought of this has so much sugar. Like I just can't help thinking that. So for me, I don't eat a lot of ice cream because I don't sense that it's all that great for me. Now, does it taste yummy? Yes. Does it make me smile? Yes. But that thought that goes through my mind, what I believe about it, makes all the difference. So what you're putting in your mouth and what you're just doing in your life in the day, anywhere you're at, whether it comes to any of these areas, your emotions, your spiritual well-being, your intellect, your social situations, you know, and let's look at the spiritual for a bit. You know, when you're in an area or when you're talking to somebody, when you kind of feel like, I feel this, I'm feeling this, this feels good, this is good, I'm resonating with this, feels really nice, like you resonate with it, or you'll not resonate with it, when it's decimate or whatever, you won't feel it. You'll be like, oh, I don't know, I've heard this before and I don't really know what I think about that. Sometimes it's totally okay. Sometimes it's just because we haven't heard it before. But I do find that when you're in balance, and once you have achieved a level of balance in these 6 areas of wellness where you can discern, you know, what's kind of good for you and what's not, what's raising your level of energy and vibration and what's bringing it down, you know, once you can sense all that, then, you know, a lot of times that kind of hesitation, or even some people even call it procrastination, to like do something or talk to somebody or make a decision, or sometimes that's healthy. Sometimes it's because it really doesn't resonate with you. Sometimes it is because it's not meant for you. And now I'm a firm believer in what's good for you might be good for you, but doesn't mean it's good for me. And it doesn't matter who that is or what level of, you know, status or leadership. It's important to really go within ourselves and ask ourselves, now, is this for me? Is this for me? And I see it's great for them and it's working good for them, but is it also for me? And ask that question, know where the answer is coming from, and then be firm and have faith in it, whatever decision it is. You know, some people might decide they're going to eat ice cream and it's going to make them healthy. And the next person will decide not to because they believe it won't make them healthy. So in the end, it truly is what we believe. Even as we're eating the food, literally, I was reading a paper on the energy of food and how when you're prepping it, and if you're like, you could totally be making sausage and, you know, something greasy, something that people might not think is good for you, but the person making it and what their mindset is and what their energy is as they're cooking that food actually puts energy and can put goodness into something like a type of food that you might not think would be good for you. But who makes it, the environment that it was made in, how it was cooked, all that even matters. So, you know, in the end, there's not a brown box of a specific thing of any of these areas that works for everyone. And that's why it's important to come back to ourselves and really, really go within ourselves. And that's, you know, what our morning ritual is. That's what the 7-day challenge is that I have in the files. That's what that is. It's that, just that introduction to connecting with yourself at a higher level. And the only way to do that, absolutely the only way, is to cut the noise of everything else. And the more you put in of you, the more you put in of you, what you know you believe to be true, the less you're going to hear of all the other noise. Anytime we experience confusion, anytime we are feeling jealous, envy, like we're a failure, like we're stuck, all those feelings are simply a distraction. There's a noise that's distracting us somewhere. We're losing sight of what truth is for us, which is totally normal. As a human being, we're in this world and we have to live in this world, and it's normal for that to happen. But to know how to get back on track, and then also this is a big I'm going to read you a piece of what it had in this chapter that was so impactful for me. It said, just as original substance creates, so does your mind body create from what you think about the most. And that really, and I know that's so basic, we've heard that over and over again, but it brought to my mind how much of a professional we are at creating what we don't want, because we're just natural to think about those other things, to think about, truly it could be totally where we're at. For instance, my physical health. If I were to focus on my physical health and the conditions that I've been said to have, and all the things I've gone through, and exactly how I feel physically, if I were to continue, it was about 2 years ago, I decided I wasn't going to focus on that anymore. I wasn't going to focus on how I felt, on my physical body, on the conditions that I was said to have, on all of that. I was going to look at health and look at my strengths. And I know I've said this before, but this goes so well with this. I decided to focus on my strengths and have faith that what I was good at and what I could do, that I could do well, and it could make me healthy again. I could feel strong despite all of that. But the only way to get there, the only way to move forward in that, is to have full-on belief and faith that it's possible. And that's where you see people that get on these systems and they don't work, because in their mind they still doubt, and they're really not going to put 100% into something if they don't believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you're not going to give your all. You're not going to put it all. If you don't see in your mind's eye any possibility of what that could bring you, then you're not going to get there, because you're going to stay right where you're thinking. It's amazing to me too that this, over and over again, the word choice keeps coming to me when I read this. And as I'm talking to people about health and wellness and that kind of stuff, it literally comes down to a choice. Everything we are, every situation we're in, every health situation, every spiritual, if you've been a believer for a while and you haven't been going to church, or you feel like you've just lost track of that side of you, like anything that we feel and are in at this moment, we've chosen for ourselves. We've chosen to put ourselves there. And, a lot of times it's without knowing. A lot of times we do that without even realizing we're doing it. So to come back to that realization, to come back, or to be exposed to that truth, that we do have the choice, and that we can have faith, and that we can be healthy despite where we've been, despite where we are today, even. Like literally, despite what the physical is showing us today, there is a possibility for something else. And it's just huge. It's huge, because there's so much with health and wellness, with disease, with everything that's going on in the world. And I'm grateful that I've taken time to, my mentors recommended that I start with The Science of Getting Rich. And now I'm thankful that I've chosen to go through this book, because it's reminding me to look at a lot of things in my life that I haven't been looking at very closely, in balancing those 6 things. So what can we do to build our belief? Faith begins in belief. We've got to be believing it. We got to believe it. So how do we build that belief? Well, we definitely already know that we have the health power within us. We've got to make the easy choices. We have those simple choices, like what we eat, what we drink, what we put on our body, the air that we breathe in, to attempt to make all that the best possible quality of food, of water, clean water, of air we breathe, of our products. Like everything should be toxin free. And I put it out there over and over again, because I've seen the difference in chemicals and being chemical free. And it's a huge difference, not only physically, but even spiritually, mentally. I have found in my personal life that chemicals, and other people that I've talked to, chemicals like different meds, but it could also be chemicals in food. It could be products that we use. hold our bodies down. And it's kind of like, the visual I get is like we're weighted down. Like we're supposed to be this, you know, faith, grace kind of being where we have freedom, right? We're free to make choices. We're free to do whatever we want. But when our bodies are weighed down physically, and it goes beyond that, but we'll start there because that's easy because we can see physically by the things that we eat, the chemicals, even food that's, you know, not good for us. And all that's really just, I mean, what I see as that is anything that has chemicals and artificial stuff, anything that our bodies basically has a hard time digesting, has a hard time processing. It weighs us down and it slows us down in all areas. So to cleanse our bodies and get out of that is really, really huge. And then to think on exactly what you're looking to achieve. So visualizations, we know, are a part of the morning ritual. And that is huge, huge when it comes to our well-being, because if we meditate long enough on the idea of health and wellness and freedom and feeling good, I'm telling you that we can feel that way. That does come to us in some way. It's not always in the way that I expect. Sometimes it comes in a different way, but that well-being absolutely comes every day now, but it takes time to get there. You've got to be disciplined and put commitment into the morning ritual. That's just the most important. I do believe peace in this, in having faith and creating the belief that whatever type of well-being you want is possible. Being consistent with that morning ritual, with the 7 steps in the morning. Building a foundation takes personal application, and that's, again, all the simple things, but in your personal way. We can't take a plan from somebody else, their daily method of operation, and do the same thing in our day and expect the same results, because we're a completely different person. So we've got to create a unique application in our day of balancing these areas. And it does get easier as you go, that's for sure. So claim truth. And another thing that popped up in here is you are not going to get well. You're not going to get more well. We've got to say that we are well today. We've got to claim what we want today. So in our speech, when we're talking, I am gaining muscle right now. I am releasing toxins or releasing fat or whatever your physical goal is, or I am growing spiritually. Claim it right now, current time. Don't project it into the future, because all we have is right now. So every time you're speaking of whatever it is that you're going for, looking towards, speak of it as if it's right now, because truly it is. We just don't see it yet. But until we speak of it as now and as if it is, it has a hard time coming to us. Refuse everything else. Refuse everything else. Anything anybody says that is not in alignment and resonates with you and your well-being. And we know this, we feel it, we can tell what feels, what feels good and what doesn't. Don't stay with anything that doesn't feel good to your well-being. And if it's out of fear, that's a huge sign that something really major must change. Huge decisions must be made to get out of that situation or whatever that is causing that. But anytime you're doing something for someone out of fear, that immediately get help. But a lot of times it's just out of expectation. Family members, friends, they want to help us. They're well-meaning and they give us advice or their thoughts. And, this goes into all areas of life, of all these areas of wellness. Literally everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to tell somebody to do something and, do this or do that, or this worked for me. It's so important to be connected to what our purpose is and what we believe our well-being is, so that we're not easily swayed when other people come in and share what they want to share with us. And, I just accept what they're doing. And I'm like, if that's what's working for you, that is awesome. I celebrate you. Even though sometimes you'll know, right? You're talking to somebody and sometimes that what they're saying is probably not right, or just doesn't quite feel right, or, maybe didn't work for you, but we don't always have to be right. We don't always have to argue. We can just let it go. And that's a huge part of our well-being, in just not arguing, just letting it go, letting everything go, not needing to be right, just saying, okay. And if that works for you, awesome. I respect that. And then hoping that person's going to respect you for what you believe, obviously. Having grateful statements being grateful, I got to add this piece in because it's so big with achieving a level of belief and faith that really will propel you forward. Having gratitude for where you are and what you have now. And we know in the God Memorandum, there's so many things to be grateful for. I mean, the air that we breathe, our eyes, our ears, our arms, our legs, like all the basic things. Truly, to truly be grateful for the basics absolutely opens the door for limitless abundance, limitless well-being, when we can be at ease and in acceptance of where we are now, not angry about it, not upset about it, not depressed about it, just accepting, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is where I am today. You know, this is what I see anyway, right? This is what I perceive, but this is where I'm going, and this is what I am gonna claim. And then you start your I ams. I am grateful. I read these on Wednesday too, but I'm gonna read them again here. I'm grateful that all I need is coming to me for my health. I am grateful for my strengths. I am grateful for natural therapies. And again, if you know me and you know more about me, I am big on nature, taking advantage of what God and the earth has given us to be well. I haven't always been that way. I spent most of my life on prescription meds and all kinds of medications. And that's part of why I'm here. That's part of my mission in bringing freedom to the world, is bringing that awareness and that knowledge that it doesn't matter if you've done something your entire life. You absolutely have the capability and ability to change and be whatever it is you want to be. For me, it was just healthier, wealthier, wiser. I wanted to feel better. Then I go into I'm grateful, and I list everything I'm grateful for. I am grateful for my detox. I am grateful for my CBD. Like, I list everything I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the people that have brought these gifts to me. Gratefulness brings us in harmony with God or with our creator. And if you don't believe, you're not a believer, then it's an energy. We vibrate at a level of wherever our heart and thoughts are. So when we're grateful, love is a huge, huge high one, but gratefulness brings us into that state to where we're able to receive well-being. It like gets us in alignment almost. And it's just a beautiful visual that I see when it comes to that, and this is more of my, inspiration to be natural, use what the earth has given us, use plants, use, the natural resources that we have, because we're created from the earth. We are absolutely we came from the earth, and the earth has an energy in it that balances and grounds us. And the more we obtain from the earth and put in our body, and even as we touch our body, that's why they say a lot of yogis are barefoot all the time. They're in touch with the earth, that energy. They want that connection with the energy of the earth. I've noticed a difference as well since I've been starting to do that more. So if you don't already, I would encourage you to do that more. If you're in an area where you can be barefoot outside, actually touch the earth and the ground, sit on the ground. I know it sounds crazy, but it did sound crazy for me for a while until I started doing it. And I realized that I feel great, even if it's just that sense of well-being that you get from seeing the blessings that were created for us, the beauty out there. Coach Chelsea, another coach here, talked about the fractals in nature in one of her lives one time. And that really got me to thinking and looking around outside. And it's so true. There's no shape or form that is replicated when you're looking outside. Everything is unique and different. And it brought me back to thinking, well, that's how we are as people, just so beautiful. Anyway, I'm going off. Ungratefulness is definitely something that separates us from well-being. Being ungrateful, not seeing what we already have, is literally like it just chops you away from any other potential. It keeps you stuck. And I didn't even realize I was there for a while. I just didn't even realize it. When I started the 30-day course with Melody is actually what kind of opened my eyes to the fact that I was taking a lot for granted. And yeah, so anyway, so I'm going to open up. If you guys have any questions, let me see. I think I can hear y'all. This is the first time I did this from my iPad, so I'm hoping that it all works. So if you want to ask anything or say anything, you can unmute yourself. And then otherwise, I'm going to end with the last chapter of this chapter, the last paragraph of this chapter. And I always recommend for you guys to actually go through this reading too. So the principle of health in man receives its vital power from the principle of life in the universe. And man relates himself to the principle of life by faith in health and by gratitude for the health he receives. Man may cultivate both faith and gratitude by the proper use of his will. And we know we've read a lot on the will already from the Science of Getting Rich. And then this book, well, the next chapter will go into that on the will more. Let's see, what does faith in health mean? So the faith, the belief that it's possible, the belief that if somebody else achieved health, I can achieve it too. That it's not limited, that there's nothing that can stop you from getting it. That's the way I would say that's what that means to me. It's like what the Science of Getting Rich says, that there's it's not monopolized, that what's possible for you is possible for me, or what's possible for me is absolutely possible for you. Yeah. And you know, we've seen it, right? We've seen the miracles. We've seen people healed of cancer. I mean, our own, right? Melody. So the beauty of that for me is that we're all the same. We're all made of the same thing. We are all created exactly the same. There's nothing different from any human being. We're so much more the same than we are unique, is what's really interesting when you think of humanity. So therefore, you know, what one person can do, anybody can do. So then you've got to keep looking up though. Keep your eyes on where you're wanting to go when it comes to your health, your well-being, whatever it is. I mean, it could be literally, you know, any area of your life. Keep looking at where you want to go, and then talk and speak and claim today as if you're already there. That's what I focus on, and what my goal is every day, in my well-being and in my health. And I'm thankful that I'm seeing results. I'm thankful that I am seeing the difference in when I was not doing that, and when I was not living according to these principles. I do see a difference. So it takes consistency. It takes, you know, sticking with it. Knowing that it's going to take some time in the beginning helps. But then what happens is it starts to happen. That's funny. It starts to happen. And that's the evidence. And once you start seeing the evidence, then belief is easier. And then it's easier to have faith, because you start to see those little things start to happen. And in whatever area it is, you know, you start to see those little improvements. You start to feel better at times where you didn't feel better, or you still feel bad, but not as bad, or not for as long, right? You're able to rein yourself back in, right? All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. I love you all so much, and I'll see you again. Bye.